thought Zoom was going to make some money on the stock market since everybody has to switch over to it for teaching now, but today they're getting sued by they're getting sued for sharing people's data with Facebook.
Wow.
And they've already lost $10 a share since this morning. So mistakes were made, but that's the nature of investing. Hey y'all, anyway, so let's go ahead and get started. Tomorrow we have our chapter test, which is the last thing that I'm going to ask y'all to do before we go off to spring break, just so that, you know, when we come back, we can start day one, go over the test, and then begin our new chapter, which, just a reminder, the next chapter is the most important chapter that we cover in the entire book. And this chapter test really isn't anything that different from the chapter quiz. It's only 2 sections of additional content. So for the most part, it's going to be stuff that you've already done, plus a little question here or there from the 2 sections that have come since. I'll outline all of that once we're done with the warm-up. So this warm-up has basically a little bit of everything in it from the whole chapter. Question number 1, triangle ABC is similar to triangle EDF. AB is 10, BC is 6, AC is 7, and ED is 12. Based on that information and the way that it's listed out, please solve for the length of EF and the length of DF with the given information. And then question number 2 is a little bit of a combination of parallel lines and similar triangles. So please use what you know about these setups to first solve for X, then also write a similarity statement for the triangles. Also tell me what the scale factor is for the triangles, and which similarity postulate is it that allows you to say that these 2 triangles are definitely similar. After that, we'll go over these 2 questions. There's a lot of parts to question 2, but it's mostly just concepts so that we get a chance to discuss that stuff. And then we will go over it. After that, I'll outline what is on tomorrow's test. And then that's it for the day. Give me 1 second. I'm going to mute everybody because somebody has a conversation going on in their room. Go ahead, ask your question, and use space to talk.
Are you feeling better? You said you had you were sick.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Thanks for asking, though. Any other questions out there?
No.
Okay. The one other thing that I'll bring to your attention is if you play PC games, I don't know if you guys know about this really good website called Humble Bundle. But Humble Bundle packages together a bunch of different games and then sells those packages. And, you know, sometimes the Humble Bundle is good, sometimes it's whack. Right now, in my opinion, it's really good. And I'm mostly bringing this up because, you know, you're all stuck at home. Next week is spring break, so you're going to have to find something to do with your time. Here's the current Humble Bundle. You get all of these games for $30, and if you were to purchase these games individually at full price, it's $1,000 worth of video games. The other tight thing about Humble Bundle is if you don't want all of these games, you can actually split it with a friend, because after you pay, they actually just email you Steam keys. So you don't have to unlock all of them. If you don't want all of the games, you can like give the other codes to friends, or you can like unlock them on your Steam account and then resell them on the Steam market and get some of your money back. But here's the current Humble Bundle, and here are the games in it that I recommend. Into the Breach is one of my favorite games of the last 10 years. I have like 400 or 500 hours in it on Steam already. Undertale is a classic. Hollow Knight is really good. The Witness is a really good 3D puzzle game. Super Hot is an excellent shooter that is kind of puzzle-based. Darksiders 1 and 2 are pretty good. Those are kind of like Legend of Zelda games. Brothers is a really good narrative game. It's got a pretty sad story to it. Broken Age was all right. Psychonauts is old. It definitely shows its age, but it's good and fun. And then Piku Niku is a surprise to me on here because this game is relatively new and it's $15. So if you just wanted to play this alone, you pay an extra $15 and you get the rest of them. Pac-Man Championship Edition is excellent. It's probably the best Pac-Man game, and it has a really wild soundtrack. Super Hexagon is fun and infinitely playable. I know some of y'all play it on your phones. VVVVVVV is really good. Super hard platformer where you don't jump. You have a button that reverses gravity, so you like either fall towards the ceiling or fall towards the ground. Plus there's some books in here and some comic books. Really good deal for 30 bucks in case you have no idea what to do with your spring break. Big fan of Hollow Knight, pretty hard. Super big fan of Into the Breach. It's worth it almost entirely for just Into the Breach. But yeah, anyway, like I said, take a few minutes, wrap up that warm-up question. Maybe we'll take 3 minutes on it. Then we'll go over it, and then I'll tell you exactly what is the deal with tomorrow's chapter test. I'm not going to do a multiple choice part on Google Forms just because I don't think that like helped, and it also didn't make it any easier for me to grade or whatever. So we'll just do it all free response as if we were taking the test in class together. But like I said, I'll go over exactly how many and what types of questions will be on there once we're done with the warm-up. How's it going out there?
Good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Oh, also, I'm not going to have y'all turn in classwork for this week since it's only one classwork. So you'll just get credit for it. No need to upload this.
Okay.
Okay, let's go ahead and get into it. So just a quick reminder about similarity statements. The angles, which are congruent, and the sides, which are proportional, are all contained within this statement because what matters is the order of the letters. So what angle is congruent to angle B, and how do you know?
D.
Yeah, it's got to be angle D, and we know that because in the first triangle statement, B is in the middle. In the second triangle statement, D is in the middle, so we know that those two have to be congruent to each other. So if I'm solving, what ratio is going to allow us to solve for anything? Which two sides from the two triangles do we have that are proportional to each other?
A, B,
10
and
and
E.
12.
Yeah.
A, B, and E, D.
Yep, A, B, and E, D, and they are 10 to 12. So first two letters, A, B, first two letters, E, D. So I'm going to write my proportions as being triangle ABC over triangle EDF. So that would be to say 10 divided by 12 is going to be equal to, and how do we solve for EF?
It's gonna be 7 over, EF, yeah, 7 over EF.
Great. And again, EF is the first letter and the last letter. So if we're looking to see what is that similar to, it's going to be the first letter and the last letter. So that's AC. And that's 7 over here. So now I can go ahead and I can cross multiply. So 10 EF is going to be equal to 7 times 12, which is going to be, I guess, 70 plus
84.
14. Yeah,
84.
84.
Yeah.
And then I can divide both sides by 10. So EF will be equal to 84 per 10. Or both of those are divisible by 2, so we can reduce it down to.
What would it be? 42 over 5?
42 over 5.
Yeah, and so that there is the length of EF.
Can we
So-
write it? Oh, sorry. Can we write it as 8 and 2/5?
Yeah, mixed numbers are fine, just no decimals.
Okay.
And then for the second one, DF, again, we look at the original similarity statement to see what that's proportional to. It's proportional to BC, so that'll be 10 over 12 is going to be equal to 6 over DF. And then the same procedure, cross multiply, so 10 DF has to be equal to 6 times 10 is 60, plus 12 is 72. So then DF has to be equal to 72 over 10. And once again, they're both divisible by 2. So this is going to be equal to 36 over 5. Any questions on that first part of the warm-up?
Nope.
No? Okay. Part 2. Let's go ahead and solve for x. And what proportion can I use to solve for x?
You can do 18 over x plus 22 equals 6 over x plus 2.
Great, that works. So long length divided by long length should be equal to, and this only works because this parallel line set is here, should be equal to 6 over x plus 2. And then we can go ahead and we can cross multiply in order to solve for x. So this is going to be, yes?
18x plus 36 equals 6x plus 132.
And you get 12x equals 96.
Yep, and then I'll subtract 6x from each side, so that gives me 12x, subtract 36 from each side, and that gives me 96. And so x must be equal to
8.
8. So that little step of proportionality and cross multiplication is the answer to the first part. Now let's go ahead and also answer the other two parts. Do you all have the diagram? Because without the diagram on screen, these next three won't make sense.
Yeah.
So what is our similarity statement? What triangles are similar here?
A triangle AEF and ACB.
Great, that's the similarity statement, same angles in the same order. And then number 2, what's the easiest way to write the scale factor if we're going from this triangle to this triangle?
I'm not sure of that.
So all we need is 2 establishable side lengths of the triangles, and we could use the part with x's if we went back in and plugged in 8, but we can use the top parts instead. So for triangle AEF, what is the length of the top? Yeah, what is the length of the top segment?
18.
18.
And then for the bigger triangle ACB, what is the length of the top segment?
24.
24.
That's it. Or if you want, you could, because that fraction simplifies down, you could simplify it if you wanted. It's not necessary.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes?
can you go up for like 1 second? The page, can you like move it up a little bit? Okay, all good.
Okay. And then the last part, and this is probably the hardest part of the question, which similarity postulate is allowing us to say that these two triangles are similar to each other? There's only one answer.
AAA,
Very good. And how do you know that it's AA?
because they're parallel lines, and can't we use corresponding angles?
That is spot on. So the thing that allows us to say that these two triangles are similar is not information about the lines. We're kind of assuming that these triangles are similar. But those assumptions are based on the fact that if these lines are parallel, then these angles correspond. If these angles correspond, then this is enough to satisfy the AA similarity postulate. Okay, so let me tell y'all what is on tomorrow's chapter test. Yeah, so tomorrow's chapter test is 18 questions total. And the start of it looks a lot like the quiz. So I would make sure to start by going over the quiz, look at the solutions to the quiz. Grading that stuff was kind of annoying for me to figure out how I did it. So I'm sorry that I wasn't able to provide everybody with individual feedback. but you can of course compare your work to the key to see where you got points and where you didn't get points. Because what I did for everybody was I basically just printed out a seating chart, and then I compared my key to your test, and I wrote down the score as I went along. So that's why I didn't like mark it up in Google Classroom or whatever. But if you have any questions about that stuff, you can ask me in this hour and I can work out any questions from the quiz. Or of course you can email me and I'll get back to you before tonight. And then of the questions on tomorrow's test, there's a first question where I asked about a regular old word problem proportion. Be sure to look out for the word other and how we treat that. I'm going to ask about triangle similarity and ask you to use a postulate. There's a question about the length of an object based on the length of its shadow. There's some questions with parallel lines. There's a question about some similar quadrilaterals. There's one question about a dilation, and it's not really a math question per se, but I do give an XY coordinate axis where the corners are laid out, and I ask you to interpret a dilation. There's a question with similar triangles, of course, where you'll have to set up a proportion and cross multiply. And then on the back side, I have one question about proportional medians. I have one question where I tell you about the ratios of the side lengths of a single figure and ask you what the lengths are. There's a question about the angles of similar triangles. There's one question about an angle bisector and the similar segments that it produces. One question about similar altitudes. And then at the end, the last question is one question about parallel lines and proportional segments. There's one bonus question on here, and I'll just tell you what it is so you can start thinking about it now. I'm just asking you what you plan to do over spring break to keep yourself like healthy and active. Just because, you know, we're about to head into spring break, nobody can travel. I just want to make sure that you have a plan for what you're doing with your time next week so that, you know, you don't get too bored. And that's about it. Are there any questions on that stuff about tomorrow's test?
What was dilation again?
That was the last section that we did, where you have points on a graph and you can get what the points on the graph would be for the bigger figure by multiplying or dividing. But just because I don't want to have y'all be doing a bunch of like distance formula stuff during the chapter test, that question is actually just a graph reading question. There's no math to show there, I don't think.
Oh, okay.
So there's nothing related to using distance formula to find scale factors between the triangles?
No, all that stuff is mostly just for you for like enrichment.
Okay.
Mr. Rice, I have a quick question about dilation. So
Yeah.
for we take the coordinate points and we multiply or add them?
Multiply. Adding would shift them over. If you add the same number to all the points of a graph, it's going to move it left or right or up and down. But multiplying will cause them all to get bigger or smaller.
Okay.
Oh, one other thing that I'm going to ask y'all to do over break, the one like thing that you could consider a spring break assignment, is please do obtain a scientific calculator. If you have a graphing calculator, great. This works for the lesson that we're going to be doing once we come back. But if you do not have a scientific calculator, please find one. If you have an older sibling, I almost guarantee there's one sitting around in a drawer somewhere in your house going unused. Or if you don't have one, ask one of your parents to see if you can have one shipped to the house, or see if you can pick one up at Target the next time you go out to resupply, just because you will need a scientific calculator to get through the next section. You need a calculator that has buttons on it that say sine, cosine, and tangent, which on the calculator, it shortens them down to 3 letters. Sin, cos, tan. This is what we're doing for the rest of the school year after this chapter. Any other questions out there? I think it'll be a pretty easy test because it's like 85% similar to the quiz. So make sure you go over your quiz and make sure you can answer the questions from the 2 new sections, and you should be good to go. Tomorrow when we come in, we'll have, I'll have everybody log on to Zoom just so I can make sure everybody's there. I'll post the test. And like always, you can print it out if you want to work on it, or you could just work it out on separate paper. Make sure to keep the work numbered, labeled, and organized, and then make sure to box your final answer so that it's easy for me to find. You'll have the whole class period to do it, and then after that, you'll be free to go on spring break, which I guess isn't that different from what we've been doing, except you have a whole week of no Zoom logins. And then y'all also know that when we start school back up, it's on a Tuesday, right? There's no school the Monday.
And-
Oh,
Wait, are you gonna give us work over this break?
No, I fundamentally don't believe in giving students work over breaks, period.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. Do your other teachers do that?
our
So-
biology teacher did.
Don't tell me who, it's just a yes or no. But yeah, I don't believe in that. So I mean, the most that I would give over a break is I give like reading or whatever. Like I expect AP Physics to do a little bit of review, but no, I don't expect you to teach yourself anything new over break. If anything, just pick a book you want to read and read it while you have the time, because man, that's a luxury. But nonetheless, yeah, the first day of school to come back is actually the 14th, not the 13th. So, you know, keep that in mind, that you don't have to log in on Zoom on Monday the 13th. And then, yeah, when we come back, we have really interesting stuff to talk about. We have a lot of lectures to do and a lot of work to do, because it's a really important chapter, trigonometry.
I just realized the first day we went on break for like Zoom and stuff. It was Friday the 13th.
Yes, yeah. And I mean, just to like think about how weird time is, just because time feels like it's been going really slow. I mean, yesterday for me, I spent the whole day throwing up, so it felt like 1,000 years yesterday alone. But check out this time comparison that I like am having a hard time struggling with. So on Sunday, the 1st of March, right? I was at the LA Convention Center for a Bernie Sanders rally. And then exactly 1 week after that, on March the 8th, I ran the LA Marathon, which goes past, like, you have to go to the LA Convention Center to pick up your race packet. So I was at the LA Convention Center on the 1st, and I was at the LA Convention Center on the 7th, right? 2 separate weekends. And then 2 weeks after that, the LA Convention Center has been turned into a giant hospital to treat people who have COVID.
Yeah, I saw that on the news.
All of that happened in like 4 weekends downtown in my city. Crazy, man. Crazy how time flies. Anyway, if y'all have any questions, just feel free to email me. But if y'all are just gonna like, there's really not much to do other than go over your quiz and go over the last 2 homework assignments. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Otherwise, we could just end it here for today. So if you want to head out, feel free to log off. Have a nice day, study for the test, and I'll see you tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll stay on for a few more minutes in case any of y'all are working on review and have any questions.
Okay.
All right. See you, Mr. Robinson.
Bye. Have a nice day, everybody.
You too.
Bye.
You too. Feel better.
Yeah, I'll try. I'm almost there, but
Yeah.
my stomach hurts.
Mr. Robinson, do we have a review assignment?
No, because I don't believe I was going to give y'all a review assignment out of your book, but I don't think everybody remembered to take their book home. So I didn't want to give an assignment out of the book in case not everybody had their books.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, just go over your quiz and you should be fine.
All right, bye.
Yeah, that was my question. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no assignment this time. Y'all have a nice day.
See you, Mr. Robinson.
Peace.
Posted now?